Eva Thompson was born in a quiet suburb outside Los Angeles, where life moved predictably: school buses at 7:15 a.m., neighborhood barbecues in the summer, and Friday night football games under bright stadium lights. From the outside, her world looked safe and complete. But inside Eva's heart lived something far less stable: fear. She was afraid of flying. Afraid of getting lost. Afraid of strangers. Afraid of failing. While other kids dreamed of seeing the world, Eva dreamed of staying exactly where she was, where she knew every street corner and every face. Her fear wasn't loud. It was quiet, disguised as being practical. When her classmates talked about studying abroad, she said, "I like it here." When her best friend mentioned backpacking across France, Eva replied, "Too risky." Deep down, she envied their courage. But fear had built walls around her comfort zone, brick by brick. The fear that followed her. After graduating from college, Eva landed a stable marketing job in downtown Los Angeles. She rented a small apartment overlooking the ocean and convinced herself that this was enough. Yet every evening, as she scrolled through photos of turquoise waters in Thailand or snow-covered peaks in Switzerland, something inside her stirred. It wasn't just wanderlust. It was restlessness. One night, a documentary about hiking the Appalachian Trail appeared on her screen. She watched hikers battle rainstorms, blisters, and exhaustion, yet their faces glowed with something she couldn't name. Freedom. That word echoed in her mind long after the credits rolled. Still, fear whispered louder. You'll get hurt. You'll embarrass yourself. You won't survive out there. Eva believed those whispers for years. The turning point. Everything changed on her 27th birthday. Her friend surprised her with a skydiving voucher. When she saw the words, "Jump Day," printed in bold letters, her stomach twisted. She laughed nervously and said, "There's no way." But later that night, alone in her apartment, she stared at the voucher. It expired in 3 months. She could tear it up, or she could face the fear she had avoided her whole life. For the first time, she asked herself a different question: what if fear isn't protecting me? What if it's limiting me? 2 months later, Eva stood at a small airfield outside the city. As the plane climbed higher, her hands shook. When the instructor said, "Ready," she nearly backed out. But something stronger than fear rose inside her. If not now, when? And she jumped. The rush of air, the vast sky beneath her, the city shrinking below, it was terrifying and breathtaking at the same time. When the parachute opened and silence wrapped around her, tears streamed down her face. Not from fear, from awakening. Her first solo trip. The skydiving jump didn't erase her fear overnight. But it cracked the wall. It showed her that courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was action despite it. 3 months later, she booked her first solo trip to San Diego. To some people, traveling from Los Angeles to San Diego wasn't a big deal. To Eva, it felt like crossing oceans. She rehearsed airport procedures in her mind. She printed backup copies of everything. She even mapped routes from her hotel to every attraction. When her plane landed at San Diego International Airport, her heart pounded. But she didn't turn back. She navigated the trolley system, walked through the chaos of Gaslamp Quarter, and stood silently before the towering Cabrillo National Monument. Looking up at the monument, she felt something shift again. Freedom wasn't a place. It was a decision. Expanding her world. After San Diego, something inside Eva unlocked. She began planning bigger adventures. First, she explored the national parks, standing in awe at the Grand Canyon in Arizona, hiking through the misty forests of Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and watching the sunrise over Yosemite National Park. Each trip brought challenges: missed buses, language misunderstandings with tourists, sudden weather changes. But instead of panicking, she adapted. Fear no longer controlled her decisions. It became her compass. If something scared her in a healthy way, she leaned toward it. Soon, she applied for a remote position at work, allowing her to travel more freely. Her next destination was San Francisco. Standing on the edge of the Golden Gate Bridge, she whispered to herself, "You're doing it." But she wasn't done. Crossing borders. The biggest leap came when she booked a flight to Iceland. This wasn't just another state. It was another country, another culture, another level of unknown. Her old fears resurfaced before departure. What if you get lost? What if you don't understand the language? What if something goes wrong? But Eva had learned something powerful: fear predicts worst-case scenarios. Courage builds resilience for real ones. In Iceland, she drove along the ring road alone, stood beneath roaring waterfalls, and watched the northern lights dance across the sky. In that glowing green silence, she realized she wasn't the same woman who once avoided stepping outside her comfort zone. She had become adaptable, strong, open. Fear had not disappeared, but it no longer dictated her life. The hardest lesson: travel isn't always romantic. During a trip to Portland, Eva's wallet was stolen. She felt panic rise again, the familiar tightness in her chest. But instead of freezing, she took action. She contacted her bank, filed a report, asked for help. She solved the problem. That night in her hotel room, she realized something profound: she trusted herself now. That trust was more powerful than any passport stamp. From tourist to storyteller. As Eva's confidence grew, so did her desire to inspire others. She started documenting her journeys on social media, writing honestly about fear, doubt, and growth. Her posts weren't just about beautiful landscapes, they were about transformation. She wrote, "Fear doesn't mean stop. Fear means grow. Step forward anyway." Her audience slowly expanded. Women from small towns across America messaged her, saying, "I'm scared to travel alone." Eva responded to each one personally. "Start small," she'd say. "Take the train to the next city. Book the weekend trip." Courage builds in layers. Eventually, she launched a blog titled From Fear to Fearless. What began as a personal diary became a community. Returning home changed. Years after her first jump, Eva returned to her childhood neighborhood in Los Angeles. The streets looked smaller. The world felt larger. Sitting on her parents' porch, she reflected on the girl she used to be, the one who thought safety meant staying still. She now understood something deeper: safety isn't the absence of risk. It's the presence of inner strength. Travel hadn't made her fearless. It had made her resilient. The woman she became. At 35, Eva had traveled to over 30 states and 15 countries. She had watched sunsets in deserts, storms over oceans, and strangers become friends in unexpected places. But her proudest achievement wasn't distance. It was growth. She learned that fear often guards the doorway to transformation. That discomfort expands identity. That courage is a muscle strengthened through repetition. One evening, speaking at a small travel conference in Austin, she told the audience, "I used to believe fearless people were born that way. I was wrong. Fearless people feel fear deeply, they just refuse to let it make their decisions." The room stood in applause. The message she carried. Eva's story wasn't about luxury travel or perfect itineraries. It was about mindset. She had moved from fear of flying jumping from planes, fear of getting lost exploring new continents, fear of failure building a platform that inspired thousands. Her journey proved something universal: courage is not a personality trait. It's a practice. And practice begins with one small step. Final reflection. Standing once more at the edge of the Pacific Ocean, watching the skyline of Los Angeles glow at dusk, Eva smiled. She no longer feared the unknown. She welcomed it. Because she understood that growth lives on the other side of comfort. That life expands when you dare to move. That storms shape strength. Her story became a reminder for anyone watching from the sidelines: you don't have to eliminate fear to begin. You only have to refuse to let it stop you. And sometimes, the bravest journey isn't across oceans. It's the one that takes you from who you were to who you are meant to become.